Hello, I'm Dr. John McIntosh and presume you have opened this video because you are considering suicide because you feel right now that life is not worth living. I'm truly sorry that you feel that awful, and I hope that you'll give me this 15 minutes for a quick chat. Obviously, I do not know you personally, which is a shame, but I really hope that this video will give you some facts so that you can understand suicide better. You can understand why you feel the way you do and have some new insights that will change the way you think. It will also show you a path out of the darkness and into the light. Before we go on, if you are at immediate risk of harming yourself and cannot wait to see through this module, please call 000 right now and get help. Assuming you are willing to watch through the video, thanks very much for that. Most people, 75% actually, that attempt suicide change their minds within 24 hours. So while you feel like you want to die right now, tomorrow you are most likely to have changed your mind and are happy that you are still alive. So please do not rush to harm yourself. Get more information and seek help because there is a way out. Suicidal thoughts come in waves and you can just watch them without acting. They will reduce in strength and pass by. Talk to a friend or a close family member to get support and help right now. After that, it is important to seek professional help as quickly as you need it. The professionals can assess you properly, start you on a treatment program, and get you on the path to recovery. If at any time you are feeling like harming yourself or acting on your suicidal thoughts, please call 000 and get to the hospital for immediate help. Of course, at this point you're probably thinking, who is this guy and why should I listen to him? You're quite right to have those thoughts. I would do so too if I was in your shoes. So here's a little bit about me. I'm a doctor with 35 years of experience and enough qualifications to bore you. I have been working with mental illness, suicide, depression and addictions for most of this time. More importantly though, is that I have personal experience of having had depression myself, and I've also lived with somebody with serious suicidal thoughts for many years. So unfortunately, I have had lived experience in myself as a carer and as a treating doctor. So I do know the despair, the darkness and the struggling to go on, and the feeling like you are struggling through syrup all the time. While I don't know your situation exactly or the severity of your condition, I think I am better placed than most to try and help, and that is what I want to do. So let's start going through things one at a time. When people consider suicide, they are usually very critical about themselves, and I am presuming that you are doing the same thing right now. I would ask you, if your best friend came round to you and gave you your own life story, how would you respond? What would you tell him or her to do? Now compare this to what you are telling yourself. You are most likely telling yourself that you are useless, worthless, feeling guilty about letting down your family and work, and that you deserve to die. Now surely you would be saying to your best friend, no, you are seeing things wrong. You were a great spouse. You had years of great relationship until you separated. The kids love you. You're one of the best workers in the office. Let us help you. We really value you. You have been my best friend in the world. Don't do this. So be kind and gentle to yourself. Stop beating yourself up and tearing yourself down. Next, let's talk about the events that trigger suicidal thinking. Suicidal thinking most commonly arises after a relationship breakdown. The next common reasons are major life events, crises, legal or financial events, or due to some underlying illnesses like depression or schizophrenia. The events that trip people into suicidal thinking are all of those major life events that are upsetting and make you feel worthless and useless. Relationship breakdown is the most common, and I've been there too. And it is common in this situation that the other party is deliberately or accidentally making you feel like you are useless, that you were an awful person, you were a bad spouse, you're an unsatisfactory lover, a poor money earner, not good for the kids, and will never amount to anything. If you are at this point, I do feel sorry for you because I was there too. It feels like your whole world has been thrown up in the air and you're just watching as you try to catch the pieces as they fall down again. There are two absolute facts here to focus on. Firstly, if the relationship broke down, you were not suited for each other. It is not that there is anything wrong with either of you, you are just not right for each other. The second fact is, while everything looks terrible as your whole life is in the air and out of control, things will settle down. All the issues that look catastrophic right now fade away over time, and you are likely to find a better, more suitable partner that will make you happier than ever. Certainly that was my experience, and I'm very grateful for that. I did have to wait some time to find her though, so don't be too impatient. My point though is that you can find happiness after what seems to be a devastating relationship breakdown. If a major event is making you suicidal now, like a legal matter, a financial or personal event that's hard to cope with or hard to bear, it is important to keep the events in perspective. If you have suffered a personal tragedy or the death of a loved one, focus on the wonderful years that you have enjoyed together and not the years you're going to miss because of the death. Focus on how you can make that person's memory live on and have ongoing value. Doubling the tragedy with another death does not fix it in any way. Also, would that person want you to act in this way as they are looking down over you from the other side? I am sure that they would want you to live a full, meaningful and happy life, so suicide would not be their wish. Financial crises are terrible, but it is money and it is not life. You can get money back, but once the life is gone, there is no coming back. You can't fix the problems or make money if you aren't alive. So perhaps you can focus and think about, what can I do to make this problem better over time? Repair and rebuild one step at a time. If you have a legal matter that is shameful or embarrassing and you feel you deserve to die because of it, surely it would be better to work to help others to compensate for your earlier faults. You can't change anything from the past if you are dead. You may not be able to help the person you affected, but you can work towards helping others so that there is balance and equity, and your good deeds compensate the past events to some extent. If you're being punished for some crime, let that punishment run its course, and then you can say you have paid your dues. However shameful or upset you feel, it doesn't deserve or warrant death. You should not be the one to determine that death is the correct sentence. We live in a much better world than that. The next set of triggers for suicide are mental illness, and depression is obviously top of the list here. Depression occurs in 1 in 5 people, so it is very common. Have you seen doctors or psychologists? Have you had your mental state assessed and treated? Have you given the treatment enough time to work? 80% of people need only a few courses of treatment, and 20% of people require long-term treatment for depression. The key here is that treatment does work, but you must get the help. I've seen many patients that have had long-term symptoms get to the point of suicide and fully recover within a month. It's like you turn the lights back on. Their most common comment is that they wish they had come to get treatment earlier. For the 20% of people on long-term treatment, I always explain that it is better to be on treatment and be well than to be off treatment and suffering. Most people are not aware that depression is caused by physical changes to the brain that cause the altered thinking. So this is a medical illness, just like high blood pressure or the flu. Just like any medical illness, it needs to be treated, and the treatment does work. The treatment works by repairing the physical change, which is to replace the chemical transmitters in the brain, and this returns the brain to normal processing. This condition is not your fault. You cannot just snap out of it. And it is not because you are weak or you have done anything wrong to get this illness. Just allow the doctors the time to get it treated. Most people are also not aware that they have depression until they see a doctor. Because you are having suicidal thoughts, I would really want you to go and see a doctor to be properly assessed. While suicide is not always caused by depression or mental illness, having those thoughts do need some help to protect yourself from the risk of taking your own life. There are practical steps that you can take to protect yourself and change the thinking process to avoid falling down the slippery slope and back into the pit of despair where you can't find your way out. I also want to mention a small group of people that have more severe depression that does not respond very quickly to common antidepressants. This is very frustrating for everyone, but especially you as the suffering keeps on going. My strongest advice here is to encourage you to keep going back to the doctors or psychiatrists if necessary and let them know how you feel. If you don't tell them you're not better or you've got worse, they would not be aware of how terrible you feel. Treatment may have to be progressively stepped up, but stick with it and keep in touch with your doctor or psychiatrist and let the treatment kick in. Remember, treatment for depression really does work, but you need to seek help first. The other common misconception is that your family will be better off without you. This is completely incorrect, and the families that are left behind after suicide are completely devastated and hurt beyond belief. This pain continues with them throughout their life and is repeated over and over again. Even if the situation was vindictive and your ex-partner said nasty things to you like, "I wish you were dead," they would have been saying it to hurt you, not because they meant it literally. The hurt extends to every one of your friends, all of your family, and the people that love you the most. This belief that anyone is better off without you is purely and simply wrong. But worse than that, you leave a trail of devastation and emotional trauma that goes on for decades in the closest and most loved family members and friends. There is a better way out of the dark pit of despair than to take your own life. Here are a couple of other important safety measures. No matter how much you want to be alone, please stay with a friend or family member that can support you. You need to talk to somebody about how you are feeling and help you till professional help can be obtained and get the treatment that works. You need to avoid alcohol and other drugs. Being under the influence of alcohol or other drugs makes you not care anymore and lose logic. Another important thing is to remove means of harm from your house, like tablets, ropes, knives and guns. So if you get a wave of suicidal thoughts coming back, you can't do anything on impulse. There are other long-term strategies to prevent suicide, like making a suicide safety plan, exercising vigorously, creating social connections, creating positive mindfulness, and getting adequate rest and relaxation, and eating well. But because what we have here is an immediate problem, I also want to go through some important facts about suicidal thoughts and depression. Suicidal thoughts are transient, they come and go. A suicidal person often does not want to die, but they just can't see the way out. Suicidal thoughts do occur in people without mental illness. They may be suffering deep unhappiness that they just can't cope with. Also, it is not your fault. It is not your fault. You cannot just snap out of it, and you are not mad. So, while you have had thoughts of suicide, these feelings will pass. The treatment of the underlying causes do work. You do need help from family and friends. You do need to see a doctor and get professional help. Please attend an emergency department if your situation is dangerous right now. And also call helplines if you do not have friends or family to contact. Once you come out of the crisis, look through our other modules on suicide and mental illnesses so you have more insight and details about how you feel and why this is all happening. I know you can get better because I did, and I've seen so many others that have too. The seriously suicidal person that I was living with has also successfully come out the other side and recovered. There is light at the end of the tunnel, or high up above you somewhere. Please just present yourself so you can be helped and start the treatment to get you on the road to recovery. Suicidal thoughts are temporary and can be treated, so be patient. Don't just act on impulse. Wait and allow time for the treatment to kick in. Go in and see the professionals for help and get your close friends and family to help you through this time as well. We are not islands. We all need help, and you can repay that help to someone else in the future, like I am hopefully helping you now. Remember, you are loved. Lots of people care for you and will be devastated if you are not here. They do care for you, you do have value, and the way you feel will get better. There is treatment and it does work. So please don't take action, just go and get help. Lots of people want to help you through this problem. And remember, suicide is not the answer. If you still want to go ahead with suicide, please call 000 or get direct counselling right now.